So let's start with our usual signature chant. We are praising the Great Spirit, the unknown, the inconceivable, unutterable. Call it Allah, call it Rahman, call it Elohim, Krishna. God doesn't become holy, we become holy. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Just the beloved women, please. Just the beloved men. Family all together. Not softly. Twice so loud. And just being very still and being open to what is called the glow of presence. Thank you. My friends, the topic today is an exotic one, exploring the mystery of our connection, our bonding with that great mystery called God. This wonderful verse from Rumi I love very much, where Rumi says, we arrive here on planet Earth a little bit tipsy. And as time goes on, we go through our trials, tribulations, dramas, melodramas. Eventually something happens and we realize, to quote Rumi, that this drunkenness must have begun in some other tavern. The point being that when we are on planet Earth, we have no idea. No matter what we say, no matter what we read, where did we come from? What are we doing here? Where do we go? When this particular journey is finished. As Rumi says again, in these matters, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. And the whole point is that here we are on planet Earth, struggling through life circumstances. For many of us, it's a life of what is called manageable depression. And many of us are aspiring for riches and titles, and we're never satisfied. Hazrat Ali said, you might be given 2 valleys of gold and silver, and yet, you'll be yearning for a 3rd valley. One is never satisfied. And on the timeline of our life, it could be a series of events, joyous or painful. It could be a singular event that suddenly creates a shift. We begin to ask deeper questions. We break out of our hypnotic, conditioned trance. For me, for example, it was the sudden death of my parents. My mother died unexpectedly, and in 20 days, my father died. We were a very close couple, like from a very close-knit family. And suddenly, I realized my parents had gone away forever. And you might say, I moved about the mysteries of life and death from a knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart. With that feeling from the knowledge of the heart, even partially or very incrementally, I began to realize, as the mystics say, there is traffic and trade in those mysterious realms. I began to understand better this wonderful saying by Rumi, we have shown you the dust, but concealed the wind. And so deeper questions arise. Why me? But most of all, I need help from a source greater than human personality, greater than a human institution. And that's the real meaning of Islam, which means to surrender in peace. There's certain verses of the Quran that after these things happen, when you begin to move into knowledge of the heart, you can really have a deeper, more embracing perspective. A verse in the Quran says to each one of us, do not, I'm quoting the Quran, do not sell your bond with God. Do not sell your bond with God for so paltry a price. Do not sell your bond with God for so paltry a price. Again, the Islamic mystics say, please know this, you are more precious than heaven and earth. You are more precious than heaven and earth. Sell yourself for not so little a price, being so precious in God's eyes. You see, in the Quran, Allah says, I have molded humanity from water and clay and then infused that earthly substance with God's breath. So precious is the human, says the Quran, that God asks the angels to bow down to the human. The angels are reluctant, and God says, you do not know what I know. I have placed the names of all things in the human. In the Quran, God says, O human, I have appointed you as my vice-regent, my ambassador, my ambassadress, and do not sow corruption on the earth. I repeat, do not sell your bond with God for so paltry a price. Again, Rumi, a verse we have said again and again, where Rumi says to each one of us, you are a ruby. You are a ruby in the midst of granite. Who knows how to complete this? You are a ruby in the midst of granite.
How long will you continue to hide yourself?
Yes, how long will you continue to deceive yourself? For we can see the look in your eyes. So please, return to the root of your real self. Do that work. Another verse in the Quran that says, say you, Jamal. Jamal is not mentioned in the Quran, don't worry, but say you. What has seduced you away? What has seduced you away from your most generous instructor? What has seduced you away from your most generous instructor? You see, there's another verse in the Quran that says, Allah first asked the heavens and the earth and the mountains to accept the gift of what is called amanat. It means the trust. But the heavens, the earth, the mountains, they refused. No, we don't want to be bestowed that gift. It's too much. But the human accepted it. And the Quran, in a sort of tongue-in-cheek humor, says, and humankind was very foolish. So we have that trust from God. Am I fulfilling that? There will come a time in your life, says the Quran, and sadly it's because we are unmindful, it will be a crisis. death of a loved one, divorce, loss of security, both financial, emotional, where this particular verse of the Quran will ring and it will, as the mystics say, splash in your heart. Say, my life, my living, my prayers, my sacrifice, says the Quran, are all for you, my sustainer. I will change direction. You see, underneath all these struggles, earthly struggles of managing my life, accumulation, hoarding of riches and titles, underneath all of that, for each one of us, is an uneasiness, a restlessness. In fact, Islamic mystics say that is a real cause of depression in a human being. Be very gentle with those who are suffering from depression, because their real depression is about that void within, that restlessness. See, Rabia, that beloved 8th, 9th century female sage in Islam, she says, there is a disease in my breast. There is a disease in my breast no doctor can cure. There is a disease in my breast no doctor can cure. Only union with that friend can cure it. There is another beautiful revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream, which spiritual teachers in Islam, they can meditate on that for days and weeks and months and years, for a lifetime. And the verse that came to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream from God, God says, I was a secret treasure. I was a secret treasure, and I longed to be known. I was a secret treasure, and I longed to be known, and so I created you. And the worlds, visible and invisible. When that shift happens, there comes a change. I want to become a better human being. I want to become a more complete human being. I want to become what Muslims call insan kamil, a more developed human being. I want to be more aligned, you might say, with my Christ nature, Allah nature, Elohim nature, Buddha nature. I want to transform my ego. I want to open up my heart. And then I want to be of service. I want my life to have meaning. The wonderful saying, which I love, by Tagore, who says, I slept and dreamt, life was joy. I awoke and found life was service. I served, and lo, behold, service was joy. I love that poetry by Rumi. I'm remembering Rumi says, there comes a time in your life where you will say, says, I beg you will get in touch with that feeling. I don't want to live with cowards. I want to live with lions, with Moses, not with, the verse goes, with teary, whining people. I want to sing like birds sing. I want to sing like birds sing, not worrying about who hears or what they're thinking. I and my Interfaith amigos were doing a TED Talks right here in Seattle University, in University of Washington. And there's another TED talk I heard from a Bangladeshi. I'm from Bangladesh. The name Adnan, I remember his name was. And he was talking about how, as a Bengali, he had come to America and had become a very successful Microsoft executive. It went pretty high. And then he'd gone back to Bangladesh for some meetings, Microsoft meetings. And he was walking to his particular appointment. On the way, a very poor man stopped him, and he had a little baby in his arms, and the baby was dead. He said, please help me. But he was so much in a hurry, he could not help that man. He was late for his appointment. But that night, as he pondered on what had happened, that one singular incident, he said he realized, it came from within him, that I have been climbing the wrong ladder. I've been climbing the corporate ladder. I want to climb the sacred ladder. So he kept his job, very high job in Microsoft, but whatever money he earned, extra money he earned, he put it into a foundation to help the poor. And it's become a very successful foundation today, I'm happy to say. That was a shift from within. Another story, a good friend of mine, Adnan Sami, in fact he's been here just a few days before he died, he spoke about his life. Because we said, give us some teachings. He's Persian, a Muslim. And he said, as he was growing up, he was so disgusted with all these mullahs, Islamic clerics, always talking about hell and punishment. He discarded the Islamic religion. Nothing to do with the institution of religion or Muslims. He was sick and tired of that. But in his last few days and weeks of his life on earth, and I was with him, he began to hear an internal voice. He said, do you hear it? I said, no, what is it? He said, I'm hearing the azan. Azan is a call to prayer. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, call to prayer, which is done at least in Sunni countries 5 times a day. I think in Shia countries 3 times a day. He said, I don't know where this is coming from. I'm hearing this. It's loud, clear. It's so beautiful. I'm feeling a connection. And they began to tell me, Jamal, I'm having this inspiration. I'm having this insight. I'm having this clarity that really all of life is about loving God. But loving God, he says, I'm now realizing, is not just about loving God. Oh God, I love you. It's about increasing the capacity within you to love God. God is infinite, boundless. And life is about expanding my capacity to encompass that love for God, which really means loving God's creation. He said, I've been married, I think, like 3-4 times. He said, it was just really for love. But every time it expanded me. All those circumstances, difficulties, I realized were all about increasing my capacity to love. So his insight is, my story, your story is about love. It's about being loved, not being loved, and really wanting to be loved. That sums up my life story. So, we exchanged a lot of poetry, and there was one story he loved very much where it's a true life story, they said. Someone asked a Bedouin, a very poor Bedouin, do you believe in the all-compassionate God? What they call the all-loving God? And the poor Bedouin said, you mean the God who sent me afflictions, poverty, illness, made me wander from country to country to country to country? But as he spoke, he entered into a state of ecstasy. Just be with that story. So my friends, this longing from within, it's encoded in us to bond with our source. It'll emerge from time to time. And God willing, in our lifetime, we will connect with that. That's when life really starts. But you have to be motivated. I'm thinking of this story, a Hindu story of, this is the end of 19th century. Vivekananda. Some of you know Vivekananda. You have Vedanta centers all over America. He was a disciple of Ramakrishna in Bengal. And one day they were bathing in the river. And Vivekananda turned to the master, Ramakrishna, and said, Master Ramakrishna, we have been doing spiritual practices, meditating for years. I've never felt a connection to God. God has never appeared to me. What did Ramakrishna do? He was strong. He was small, but wiry and strong. He grabbed Vivekananda and dunked him inside the water. And Vivekananda was flailing his arms, just having a difficult time breathing and, just struggling so desperately, and finally he let him go. And Ramakrishna said, before you get angry, let me tell you, if your desire for God is as great as your desire for the breath, you will find God. That sense of motivation. Can I be present? All the holy books say, can you be present? I mean, really present. The verse in the Quran says, Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. You see, Allah is outside of you. That's called Zahir, says the Quran. Allah is also Batin, inside of you. Within you. Can you discover Allah in your heart? That wonderful verse from God to the Prophet Muhammad where God says, I cannot be contained in the space of the earth, I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart. Can I discover God in God's creation? Rumi has this verse, if a drop of the wine of vision could rinse your eyes, everywhere you looked, you would weep with wonder. Am I willing to surrender? For a Muslim, can you practice Islam? What does Islam mean? Islam means to surrender in peace. But the question is, what are you surrendering? You're surrendering your attachment to your ego. The 14th century sage Hafiz has this wonderful poetry who says, let's keep all spiritual talk simple today. Let's keep all spiritual talk simple today. God is trying to sell you something, but Jamal, you refuse to buy. You refuse to buy. And your refusal to buy is your suffering. Your fantastic haggling. Your manic screaming over the price. Another Hafiz poem. The poem says, Jamal, what's the difference between you and an enlightened person? He said, life is like a sublime chess game. And God has just made such a fantastic move that the enlightened person is, tripping up with joy and jumping up and down and saying, oh my God, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. But you, Jamal, you think you have 100 more moves to make. Can I keep my spiritual practices simple? You see? That's why it's called spiritual practice. It's not about just taking class after class after class. It's about actually practicing them. My favorite story is that of a Bedouin who asked the Prophet Muhammad, oh sweet Lord Muhammad, he said, the legislation of Islam has become too complicated for me. Just tell me one thing I can do. And Prophet Muhammad said, that's fine, that's great, just do one thing. And what was his advice? He said, keep your tongue forever moistened with the name of Allah. Choose one, choose two spiritual practices, but do it. I love gratitude. I love to touch my heart on every point. Thank you, Allah. Thank you, thank you. Silence. Every tradition says practice silence. There's no such thing as a Muslim silence, a Jewish silence, a Christian silence. It's just silence. Be silent, as Rumi says, so that the Lord who gave you language may speak. For as he fashioned a door and lock, he also made a key. Just become silent. Not only are you going to become more relaxed, rejuvenated, but connected to the source. Okay, one more minute. Talking about service, Prophet Muhammad said, don't worry about a grand mission you have in life. That'll come, that'll evolve, that'll emerge by itself. His famous words are, do good deeds according to your capacity. Do good deeds according to your capacity. God never tires of giving rewards unless you tire of doing good deeds. The good deeds most loved by God are the ones that are done regularly, no matter how small they are. So think about it. What are some good deeds you're doing regularly? It doesn't have to be grand. It can be very small. They add up. And lastly, be mindful of time. Time passes very fast, as I noticed. The Quran says, please be mindful of time before death overtakes you. Do all this work of becoming a better human being, being of service to God's creation. Don't wait till you are about to die. Rumi says, death is hoarse from shouting. From so many astounding blows, death's drum skin has split. But Jamal, you have enmeshed yourself in trivialities, in dramas, melodramas. Only now do you apprehend the mystery of death. So time will move very fast. So I'll end with this mullah story, where the mullah is in London, and he's a very famous professor, who's the guide, who says, this is 50,000 years old. If you remember, the mullah says, excuse me, it's 50,004 years old. The guy is a little bit annoyed. This is 100,000 years old. Excuse me, 100,004 years old. Happens the third time. This is about 70,000 years old. Excuse me, it's 70,004 years old. Now the professor is quite annoyed. He says, sir, you have a turban, you have a beard. This tells me you come from the mysterious East. But how can you be so laser precise about those dates? Simple, says the mullah. I was here 4 years ago. At that time you mentioned those dates. It has many levels of meaning. One level of meaning is it's later than you think. So with that, let's just become very quiet. Very still. We'll do a short meditation. Comfortable, close your eyes. Focus on your nostril and simply be present with your breath as you inhale and as you exhale, just this much. Be present with your breath. Mystery, God is the breath within the breath. Gently, compassionately connect with that. Gently, with your eyes closed, let go of that. And this time, focus on your physical heart. Our heart has been yearning, aching, thirsting to connect with us. If it pleases you, one hand, both hands, touch your heart. Feel your heart. Be conscious and connect with your heart. Begin to feel the beat, the rhythm of the heart. mentioned earlier, where God says to each one of us, "O beloved one," God says, "I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart of my devotee." Just be with the mystery. Divine heart is inside human heart. The space of the heart is actually infinite, boundless. And now to connect with the beloved within you with a capital B, say words of beauty. The Quran says to God belong all the beautiful names. The Sufis suggest, can you plant in the heart words like, "I love you," with feeling, sincerity, humility. No matter how awkward it might initially feel, try it. "I love you." Or, "Please help me to love you." And or, "Thank you. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. Thank you." And or, "Please help me. Please help me. I need help. I need help. I surrender to you." Whatever feels right, resonates. Say it, please, to your heart. "I love you. Please help me to love you. Thank you. I am so grateful. Please help me. I need help. I surrender to you." And this creates, the Sufis say, a divine vibration filled with love, divine love, blessings, healing, empowerment, that goes from the tongue into the mouth, into the throat, into the chest, deep into the heart, and then what is called into the hidden, and then into the hidden of the hidden. Amazingly healing us, loving us, blessing us, empowering us. And I'll stop saying anything at all. Just be with your magical touchstone, infinite space, the heart. Let's do a chant and we come into awareness.